Welcome to the Empowering Minds Mental Health Podcast. Did you know that lack of finances or lack of financial education can impact your mental health? Today, I have Nick Heyman, CFA and founder of Heyman Investment Counseling. He has a 40-year career in wealth management, helping individuals and institutions of all sizes to build and preserve wealth with his stress-free method for mellowing your money. Mick has appeared in the Wall Street Journal as well as other financial publications and writes articles on sound money management as the path to health, wealth, and wisdom. Welcome and thank you for agreeing to come on today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, we're just going to get right into it. All right. So,
Great.
my first question: what inspired you to write Mellow Your Money and focus on a stress-free approach to financial independence?
I think there are a couple of things, but first of all, what inspired me was I've become bothered over the years that first of all, there's not enough information or education for people early in our lives about how to build wealth. And combine that lack of education with then we're overwhelmed by too much information out there and misinformation, I would say, about building wealth. And then there are all these books out there that to me, there are plenty of books about becoming a good investor, but they read like textbooks. There's the 5 steps or the 7 pillars. And it's not that these points are wrong, but that's not how I learned. I learned through experience. I learned through stories in my life. And so I believe that investing and building wealth is like life lessons. It's built through experience. And so I thought to write a book about my experiences and my misadventures that led to some of the greatest lessons I learned about building wealth. And hopefully that would connect people in a less, what I would say, a less threatening way and a more fun way and a deeper way to how to do this without having to focus all their time on it, but at least building some basic concepts through some, again, my experiences and often misadventures.
Okay. So now that you've talked about your book a little bit, do people go through your website to purchase your book, or is it available on Amazon or other platforms?
It's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and other platforms like that.
Okay. All right. Now you said a key word. So the questions, I'm going to go a little bit out of sync from what I sent you. So my next question: what are some common misconceptions about financial independence, and how does your book address them to help people achieve a stress-free financial life?
Sure. I think, first of all, there's a misconception of that we need to predict what's going to happen, that we
Mhm.
need to listen to experts and, oh my gosh, a couple of years ago, there's a great recession coming. Never happened. Uh, Before that, of course, we had the pandemic. Let's assume you actually predicted this terrible year in 2020 where the world shut down. You would have sold everything you had. And guess what? The market was up like 15% that year. So even if you did predict the unpredictable, you couldn't predict the market. And so there's all this, reading, social media and the news and oh my gosh, what's going to happen if the government shut down? Well, of course, there's another great quote out there. Michel de Montaigne said, "My life has been filled with horrible miseries, none of which ever happened." And so, we're constantly dwelling on uh, that which is in front of us, and we don't need to do that. We can be more of a mechanic with investing. We can do
Mhm.
the simple things, but if we leave that, if we just follow these steps and don't deal with our own emotions, how will we deal with the unpredictable? How will we act when the surprises happen? Then we throw all these lessons out the window and we panic. And
Mhm.
that's not, I'm not saying that's other people. That's me. That's all of us.
Mhm.
We all have to face our own fears. And so part of the book is to deal with how I faced my fears and how I faced my mistakes and things in life that taught me. And so if we can do that, if we can start there, that's important. Those are important lessons to building wealth. And so I think so often money stuff, you feel like, oh, that's something else. That's not part of my spiritual part of life or my
Mhm.
emotional part of life. And yes, it's all connected. Everything's connected. And it's not like one day we can be spiritual and one day we can be money focused. We're all about it. And so I try to connect that to our lives in a meaningful way.
Now, with that connection, can you share some practical tips from your book for managing finances without feeling overwhelmed or stressed?
Sure. And the first one kind of connects to what I was saying is try to know yourself. And this is, of
Mhm.
course, a life path. But in regard to risk, each of us oftentimes has our own unique risk threshold. And sometimes it's practical. How much could we lose if if something surprising happens before we would panic? And that doesn't, and that, and it doesn't matter how much you have, whether it's $1,000 or 10,000 or more than that. Know how much things could go down before you'd get scared. You know, they always say in
Mhm.
if you're betting, don't bet scared money. Same thing with investing. Don't invest money that would cause you to lose sleep if it went the wrong direction. And so know that at the outset before you get in, because that can tell you I should have my money in stocks. I could put 5% away in something really risky and it doesn't matter. Or I could have three-quarters of my money in stocks. Know that before you jump in. That's tip number one, I would say. The second thing is go slow. Don't try to fight the urge of this fear of missing out. Take your time in getting in because I have found if you plop a bunch of money in any one thing, invariably it's almost like the market knows and it goes the other direction as soon as you did something. So go slow. Imagine you invest every month, and a lot of people have 401ks or
Mhm.
used to go every month. Then what do you think? If the market goes up one month, you think, oh, good, I made some money. You feel okay.
Mhm.
The market goes down that next month and you say, oh, good, I'm investing at lower levels. It takes the emotion out of things by going slow. And so that would be tip number two. And then the third tip I would say is be willing to rebalance. So often when things go up a lot, you feel more confident because people are talking good about it. And you don't want to sell it because, oh my gosh, that's what's making you money. And yet that is the same thing that can go the other direction. And the market is fraught with things that go up and then they go down. And so
Mhm.
take a little money off the table. Let's say that you've decided I want half my money in stocks, that's the comfortable level. Well, the last couple of years, the market's been up over 20% a year. And so that 50% would naturally be closer to, say, 60% maybe. Well, take a look at that and say, oh, I'll take it back to 50%. I'll take some money off the table. Say a
Mhm.
particular stock, or you happen to get lucky in Bitcoin and it ran up a lot. Take a little off the table. It doesn't mean you're rooting against it. And of course, if it keeps going up, you'll think, oh God, woulda, coulda, I should have not sold that. But it's a way of taking profits. And so that old line, buy low, sell high, you have to be more of a mechanic to make it work because the headlines are always going to be good at the top of things.
Yeah.
And when they go down, the headlines are going to scare you and tell you not to do something. Say that same 50% goes down because the market went down. Be like a mechanic and put a little bit more in. And if you didn't take too much risk, your emotions will allow you to do that when the headlines are telling you be scared.
That makes sense. Um, I invested in a financial advisor about 2 or 3 years ago now, and I think that was the best. thing I have ever invested in. I learned so much, and I try to do a wellness checkup about every 6 months, but I think I'm going to start maybe trying to tap in about every 3 months. Um, one of my coworkers, she has set up her financial advisor as well. And I was like, well, do you ever check in? And she was like, oh, no, I haven't checked in. And like, I was like, no, that's very key for you to check in to make sure, like, do you need to put more money in? Do you need to pull, scale back some? So now she has an appointment for the first of the year, but I always remind people, yeah, do a checkup, just like you go to the doctor for your annual checkups. Do the same thing with your
I,
finances too.
I totally agree. And it's not like you need to do it all the time, but it's very good to just have that feeling of you've taken care of that part of your life,
Hmm.
and then you move on, because all of us want to become happy in all areas of our lives.
Hmm.
And so with investing and with money, we just need to do a few of those checkups, like going to the doctor,
Yeah.
and then we're done and we move along. And that really can be important. I think it's a balance. I had a client that never asked me any questions, and we just kind of moved along. And I used to joke with her. I said, "You've got this theory of benign neglect," you know. And and of course, she built wealth too, but she had a plan at the beginning, and so
Mhm.
it felt good. I have another client who calls me up when things are going bad. He just wrote me the other day, "What do you think of the government shutdown? What do you think?" And he says, "I know what you're going to say. I know you're going to say it doesn't matter, but I need to hear you say that." And so, in a way, that's part of the checkup too, to let you know that you're doing
Mhm.
well in that part of your life, and it's time to move on, and you can focus on other areas.
Right. And that plays a role in financial wellness. So my last question, how does financial wellness impact over your overall well-being? And why do you believe it's an essential part of living a balanced life?
Well, it gets back to that area of all parts of our lives need some of our attention.
Hmm.
And if we get out of balance with money, that will impact all areas. All of a sudden, that will affect our relationships. It will affect how we work with our friends and our kids. And because we're worried about that one thing. And so I think it's important for everybody to get in tune with that part of our lives and to build it slow. You just gave a great example of talking to your financial advisor once every 6 months or every 3 months, or some people
Hmm.
it's every year. If you take care of that part of your life, you can then move on and not be overwhelmed. I mean, in today's world, social media causes us to be, to be attuned to so much noise out there. We don't need to.
Yes.
Then you can skip, if you happen to be on TikTok or whatever it is, that when the financial expert comes on, move along. You don't need it. You just
Yeah.
need a little bit of that every 3 months or 6 months, and then I think that can bring balance to your life and everyone's lives, and that's how I felt myself, is that um, we need to have that balance in all areas, and this too, if we take care of it, can relax us and allow us to become more spiritually attuned and in all areas.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I want to leave you, I guess, a final thought or anything that you would like to resonate to viewers who will watch this later on today.
I think that the best thought I've had, and I try to resonate both in my book and with my clients, is it is our experiences and the people around us that can teach us the most valuable lessons, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
about investing or about our lives. And so often these difficult experiences we want to run from or bury, but they're our teachers. And so if we can learn from the people around us and from the difficult experiences and from the sometimes most uncomfortable people, they're our teachers. And so I would urge all of us to try to find perspective from that and that's what taught me about investing, but also about leading a balanced life. So that's probably what I'd like to leave everybody with.
Okay. All right. So again, thank you for agreeing to come on today. I'll be in contact with you shortly to give you the links with everything so that you can share this with your platforms.
Thank you so much.
All
It
right.
really was good. I think you're doing a really valuable service for people, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You take care.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.